For my second book today, we're going to read Anatole and the Toy Shop. It's by Eve Titus, pictures by Paul Galdo. This is an older book too. In all France, there was no mouse more beloved than Anatole. He was the happy husband of his dear wife, Doucette, and the proud papa of their 6 charming children. Most mice live on people's leftovers, but not Anatole. He earned his family's food by working as cheese taster at the Duval factory, so late at night that nobody saw him. Everyone, even Monsieur Duval, thought that Anatole was a man. Joy in his work, joy at home. Could any mouse wish for more? But it all ended on the dreadful day his family disappeared. Arrived home that morning, after a long night's work, Anatole found a note from Doucette in the typewriter. Dear Anatole, your cheese is on the table. There's no school today, so we're off to see the sights of Paris. Don't be lonely. We'll be back by afternoon. Your loving wife, Doucette. P.S. Love from your children, Paul and Paulette, Claude and Claudette, Georges and Georgette. Anatole passed the day pleasantly in the mouse village, then sat waiting for his family to come home. The sun set, the moon rose, and darkness descended. Far into the night he waited, but nobody came. He went upstairs, his mind filled with million fears. Cats and mouse traps and all sorts of terrible things. When his good friend Gaston came by, Anatole asked a favor. I'm too upset to work tonight. Please go in my place. After Gaston had gone to the cheese factory, Anatole made himself fall asleep. But he had such frightening dreams about his dear ones that he made himself wake up. Sadly, he stood at the window, watching and waiting and worrying, wondering what might have happened. Alas, what had happened was worse than his wildest dreams. After riding around Paris, his family had started for home. Feeling tired, they sat down to rest outside a big toy shop. But no sooner did they sit down than they fell fast asleep. Just then, Monsieur Barat, the toy shop owner, spied the mice. Behind his back, the neighbors called this man Bad Barat. He never gave toys to the poor at Christmas and had once said, if they can't buy toys, let them make their own. Now this sly man smiled and said, just what I need. With mice riding in my front window, business will boom. And scooping up the sleeping mice in a butterfly net, he carefully carried them inside, bicycles and all. The way into the window was through huge glass doors that went from floor to ceiling. Barat opened these doors. Shaking the net, he tumbled the mice into the window. Then he closed the big glass doors and latched them tight. The mice awoke to find themselves in a make-believe park with cleverly made flowers and grass and trees and bridges. Tiny dolls sat on benches. Toy soldiers stood at attention, and all around the park went winding pathways. The children thought it pretty, but Doucette shook her head. Pretty or not, it's nothing but a prison. Shh, listen. They heard a scratching at the glass doors and turned around. Horrors, cried Doucette. It's a big, fat, white cat. Bad Barat picked up the cat, saying, calm yourself, Clotilda. When these mice ride in my window, all Paris will come to stare. I'll sell toys morning, noon, and midnight. And after closing time, you, Clotilda, will be my watchdog, or should I say, watch cat. If they try to gnaw through the floor, fetch me at once. Opening the glass door a crack, he pointed a stick at the mice. Ride, he commanded. All but the mother, ride. Obey him, said Doucette softly, or he'll let the cat at us. So the mice mounted their bicycles and the crowds came quickly. Delighted at the sight of the wee riders in the window, Many people stepped inside to buy toys, and Barat rejoiced, for the pile of francs in his money drawer grew higher and higher. Riding was fun at first, but when the mice stopped to rest, Barat's stick rapped at the glass to make them keep going. Fearing the cat, they rode round and round and round, till their little legs could scarcely turn the pedals, till their tired paws could scarcely hold the handlebars. Then some ladies told Barat that the mice must rest, and he agreed, afraid he'd be reported to the police for cruelty to animals. To make sure the mice wouldn't be too weak to ride in the evening, he threw them tiny snips of cheese, almost too tiny to see. My poor darlings, thought Doucette, if only Anatole would come. 9 o'clock was closing time, and Barat sent the people home. Putting Clotilda on a little table near the window, he said, "Sleep well, sweet mice. I'm leaving a watch cat to watch you." Then he dimmed the lights and went to bed. Clotilda's green eyes gleamed. "Stupid little mice. Shall I tell you a secret my master told me? When the people of Paris grow weary of watching you, Clotilda shall have a special treat, a mouse a day." "Monster!" screamed Doucette, holding her children close. Then to them, "Fear not, your papa will soon save us." But in her heart she wondered, does Anatole know where we are? At that moment there came a tap, tap, tapping at Anatole's window. It was Pierre the pigeon, bringing his friend the bad news. "Alas, your wife and children are prisoners in a toy shop window." Then he told all about Bad Barat and Clotilda the cat. "That cruel man!" cried Anatole. "Please, Pierre, fly me there." Perched on Pierre's back, Anatole stared at the night sky, his brain busy with plans for saving his loved ones. Thought he, there must be mouse tunnels under the toy shop floor. If my family can't gnaw down through the floor because of the cat, then why can't carpenter mice saw up through the floor? The sawed wood will drop into the tunnel, leaving an opening above, and my family will jump down and away we'll go. But what of the cat? Just then, Pierre glided to the ground in front of the toy shop. Doucette was weeping and the children were sleeping. She pressed her face against the glass. "Save us, Anatole. Poor children, the cheese they get wouldn't feed a flea. They ride from morn till noon till night, and after closing time, that watch cat never stops watching us." Anatole glared at Clotilda, who glared back as if to say, "I'm too smart to let them escape. Give up and go home." But Anatole winked at Doucette and declared, "This I shall prove. Cats may be clever, but mice are more so." Softly, so the cat couldn't hear, he told his plan and then said, "We'll arrive very late tomorrow night after Barat goes to bed. But who'll keep the watch cat from watching? Who'll trick the cat?" Doucette dried her tears. "Me, myself, and I. What shall I do?" "Anything. Make funny faces, do silly dances, wiggle your ears, keep Clotilda's eyes on you when the children jump, and then follow. I'll be waiting below in the tunnel to catch all of you. How furious the cat will be when she sees she's been tricked. She'll run to Barat and he'll run to the woods, to the window, but no mice." Doucette blew him a kiss. "Genius! Till tomorrow night, chérie." All the way home, Anatole did arithmetic in his head. If 7 mice with 7 saws sawed for 7 minutes, if 10 mice with 10 saws, if 40 mice with 40 saws. Just as he reached the mouse village, he decided upon 4 mice with 4 saws because they wouldn't get in one another's way. Pleased with his plan, he thanked Pierre and went to bed. Late the next night, Anatole and 4 carpenter mice entered a secret tunnel under the toy shop window. Chalking a square on the ceiling, he paced to and fro while the carpenters sawed swiftly and steadily away. When Gaston arrived, Anatole said, "The work goes well, but for some strange reason I'm as nervous as a cat. Will my plan fail? I'd better see what's what with Barat. Ordering the mice to stop, he raced outside with Gaston. The hour was midnight, but the shop was still open, brilliantly lit and filled with people. A big sign on the door told the mice the reason. People of Paris, the mice in my window are so popular that from now on my toy shop will stay open all day and all night. Signed, Bruno Barat. P.S. Don't forget to buy toys. Anatole said sadly, Alas for the plans of mice and men. Escape is impossible with all these crowds at the window. They'd surely see the saws come through, and so would Barat. He'd scoop my family up in his net, then cover the opening. The two mice stood silent in deepest despair, and suddenly two wild-eyed alley cats sprang at them. The mice ran for their lives and into a mouse hole near a pet shop. And while the alley cats howled outside, Anatole made a new plan, one so dreadfully dangerous that at first he felt afraid. He told his idea to Gaston, who cried, No, 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 I beg you not to risk your life. Think of another plan. But Anatole had made up his mind. This plan is the best. I must save my family regardless of the risk to myself. When the angry cats had gone, the mice entered the pet shop and helped themselves to all the catnip they could carry. Gaston, go and collect the carpenter's cheese, said Anatole, and put it in the pet shop to pay for the catnip. Cats often eat mice, but catnip is a rare and special treat. Too bad they don't have it more often. They love it madly. Outside, Anatole loaded the catnip on his bicycle and rode off. Good luck on your mission, called Gaston. You'll need it. And what was his hero's mission? Believe it or not, to lure the cats of Paris to the toy shop of Barat. From all over Paris came the cats to follow the mouse with the catnip. He scattered the stuff behind him, and it didn't matter that he was a mouse. All they could see and sniff was catnip. Onward they ran, eyes glued to the ground. Cats of all colors, cats of all kinds. Green-eyed, blue-eyed, two-eyed, one-eyed, long-tailed, short-tailed, no-tailed. Tomcats, tabby cats, kitten cats. Plump and pretty, sleek and shiny, skinny, scrawny, tawny, tiny. Onward they charged, that army of cats, from fences, from rooftops, from doorways, from attics, from alleys, from hallways, from gutters, from garbage cans, from gateways. And Anatole, remembering a poem he knew, The Charge of the Light Brigade, cried, Voila! The charge of the cat brigade! There are cats to the right of me, cats to the left of me, cats in back of me. Onward, mouse! The time has come to lead them into the toy shop. And he did. Naturally, Anatole was followed by 66 excited cats. Scattering the last of the catnip, he stood on top of a toy train to see what would happen. The shop, still jammed and crammed with people, was now jammed and crammed with people and cats. Arms and legs and paws and claws were in terrible tangle. Ladies were screaming and squealing and squirming. Men were shouting and scowling and struggling. Cats were screeching and scratching and spitting. Then all the people made a mad dash for the door. The uproar could be heard at the top of the Eiffel Tower. Ouch! Ow! Meow! Meow! Ouch! Ow! Meow! Meow! A few people fell and got catnip on their clothes. Cats climbed all over them, gobbling up the catnip. Anatole shrugged his shoulders and said, C'est la vie. I'm not too sorry about the people. Did even one of them tell the police about the prisoners in the window? Then, knowing that cats on a catnip spree do crazy things, he watched them act like foolish clowns. Some cats spun round and round, noses in the air. Some tried to stand on their heads but kept tumbling down. Some wept and wailed and howled and yowled for more catnip. And Clotilda and her frisky friend were dancing on their toes. Flat on the floor was Barat, and 10 cats sat on his chest, scrapping and snarling and squabbling for the catnip in his clothes. In all the hullabaloo, who'd notice a mere midget of a mouse? Nobody. Anatole wheeled his bicycle to the door, waved farewell to the topsy-turvy toy shop, and took his leave. Darting into the tunnel, he told the carpenters to work fast. Swiftly, they sawed away, then stepped nimbly aside as a square of wood dropped down, leaving an opening above. "Pass the bicycles to me," called Anatole, and this was done. Then one by one the children jumped, and their mother followed, each to be caught and kissed and hugged by Anatole. Moonlight brightened their joyful journey home. At the mouse village, all were awake to welcome them. Hearing of the charge of the cat brigade, the mayor said, "This mastermind should take my place. I resign." And as Anatole accepted the great honor, the crowd roared, "Viva Anatole, the mayor magnifique!" And Bad Barat, poor man, after the night of the cats, just seeing one made him shiver and shake and quiver and quake. So he sold his shop, sold his cat, and moved far away. Told of this, Doucette declared, "Good riddance to bad rubbish." And what do you think was Anatole's real reward, being the most honored mouse in all France? No, having his dear ones home again was his real reward. For if you asked him, he would say, "Mares are important, but families are more so. Always my family comes first in my heart." Fini.